This is Henry. Henry is a Mayan relief panel that we're doing for red door escape rooms. This guy's going to be repeated a lot of times, so we're going to have to make a mold of this.
And we did, because we live in the future.
Because we pre-baked the cake.
Yes, and set aside.
All right, so there's a million videos online about how to make a box mold, and so we're not going to do that. There's plenty other ones to choose from. What makes this guy weird is a couple of different approach things we had to go through just to save on silicone. There's quite a bit of silicone on this thing. This is a 18 by 24 surface, and he's got 2.5 inches of depth in relief on this piece. Which means that for us to pour that amount of that volume of silicone, you're looking at probably close to $1,000 worth of platinum silicone. We have to pull a lot of copies of this thing, as I said before. We consulted with the guys at Reynolds Advanced Materials, which is smooth on. We're lucky enough to be in a city that has a location, and they're wonderful to talk to. So anytime we hesitate, have questions, stuff like that, we go to them. What we did in order to save silicone is Matt came up with this idea.
I think it was actually a dude from Reynolds.
This part?
Yeah. I thought he suggested something like that, or I misunderstood and made this anyway.
I think it was option B.
Skirting disaster.
So what Matt did was he made a female socket that the mask fits into. Now it doesn't actually nest all the way into this. It's gapped out. It's offset by 1/2 inch out away from each line of relief, or each line of topographical line, stepped out 1/2 inch. So that means that what we're actually doing when we cast this thing, or when we make our mold, is we're making a 1/2 inch thick silicone skin that fits into this female. That 1/2 inch silicone skin means that we'll have a 1/2 inch this way on the Z axis, and a 1/2 inch on the X and Y axes, so it's a 1/2 inch thick uniformly all the way across. That cut the amount of silicone that we needed by about 60%. Quickly, this is our floppity silicone skin that we then poured.
Oh, this is going to be
This then is our platinum silicone mold, and we're pulling our original back out. Now, a couple things I want to point out to you here. For the same reasons that we decided to build this thing up so that our use of platinum silicone was a little bit more efficient, we looked at this and realized that the volume of foam that we'd have to use is, well, it's a lot. And even though foam is a really good way to create volume less expensively, it's still not cheap. So what we decided to do, when we pour our foam, it will bind to this backer panel. But to save volume, we created these blanks that go on the inside of this guy that match up with this, so that this takes care of part of the volume of our tongue, nose, forehead, that type of thing, and that saves us some volume in foam. That's just one way to kind of save a couple of pennies on each one. It's actually a little bit more than that, but it's about efficient use of materials. I'm not really sure why I'm talking to that camera, but we're just going to keep going with this. So this guy gets bound into here, and what we're using for this will go in, I swear. What we're using for this is another one of these smooth-on products. This one right now is foam at 10. It's slow. So this is a polyurethane foam that is it's 10 pounds per cubic foot. So it's pretty dense. This stuff is almost pine dense as far as how it comes out, and robust, and we need that for the environment we're going to be in. So we'll mix these guys up, and I'm going to add a pigment to this so that if it does chip, crack, get worn, something like that, you're not going to see that, that pale yellow beige color. This stuff is basically the same stuff that you would get at a home improvement store as expanding insulation. So it's that same stuff where you spray it in and it expands. This is just a more uniform bubble size, a higher quality product, and but it's basically the same thing. So we're going to pigment this so that if it does wear, chip, break, stuff like that, it doesn't show that color. It looks more natural, and then that lets us just touch it up at our leisure, that kind of thing. And so we're going to pour this guy now, and we'll take a look at that.
There I am. Okay, so we have here our spray, there we go, our spray mold release, and nothing sticks to silicone, but it does a little bit, so we're going to be putting that in there to make their actual piece
It makes
pop
the mold
out.
last longer.
And that too. Says my ear.
I'm using 10 drops of So Strong Black to color the resin. Okay, this is my part B right here. I've got my pigment already added to it. I'm going to pre-mix that a bit so that I've got basically just more uniformity.
That was a good job of not splashing that all over Matt's boots. That took some practice.
All right, so my part B is pre-mixed here. I'm going to go to part A. We've actually kept this refrigerated to give us a little bit more working time. Doing 600 mils of each. This is a 1-to-1 mix. Accuracy counts. Now I like measuring into smaller containers first. It's a tiny bit wasteful, but that means that the amount that remains in this container and the amount that remains in this container should be basically the same. And also I'm going to get a more accurate measurement pouring into the smaller containers with better graduation than I would pouring into a big bucket. You know, science, if you remember that from your graduated cylinder thing in grammar school or whatever. Set?
Yep. What time is it?
All right, I've mixed these guys for about 20 seconds.
147.
We're pouring into two central holes, one in the tongue, one in the basically right in the T-spot right here. In order to get the foam all the way out to the edges, you're asking for it to travel a long distance laterally if we were just to leave it there. As good as this stuff is, we found that it really helps to try to distribute foam all along the floor of the mold and then just let it come up vertically. So that's what all that crazy tilting was. This whole thing is probably 55 pounds set up, so it's not easy to do by yourself. We've done it, but it's easier with two people.
And that is how you make a Mayan mask that's nice and built into its frame for secure mounting in repetition all over a room. There's gonna be lots of these.
Lots. I'll be showing you what I do to do a stone finish on this and weather him, water drip effects, just a regular erosion effect, stuff like that in an upcoming video.
So like and subscribe, and you will be informed by the YouTubes when that happens.
And we'll be doing a t-shirt giveaway soon, so watch for that.
Do I have to
T-shirts.
Order more t-shirts?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna order more t-shirts because apparently you need some.